So, what happens when the very ground that a community depends on just gives out? In this explainer, we're going to dive into the story of two completely different communities, one in the countryside, one in the city, both pushed right to the edge by a crisis. And the solution they found was surprisingly simple. It wasn't about digging deeper, it was about looking up.
This line from our source material really gets to the heart of the whole story. It just shows that when you're facing total despair, a fresh perspective isn't just a nice to have. Sometimes it's the only thing that can save you. All right, so our story kicks off in two totally different places, but they're both dealing with the exact same devastating problem. First up, we're heading to a small village that seemed to have it all, until one day, suddenly, it had nothing.
Okay, so picture this, Balapur village. It was a thriving place, famous for its incredible vegetables. I mean, the farmers were doing great, and traders from the city were lining up to buy what they grew. But then, just like that, disaster strikes. Some mysterious disease hits the crops, and their lush, green fields turn black. Overnight, their only way to make a living was just gone. Now, let's jump over to the city, where a whole different kind of crisis was playing out. For a young woman named Sonam, the problem wasn't a lack of supply, it was the price tag. 60 rupees for a single kilogram of potatoes? I mean, can you imagine? That's an impossible wall between your family and a basic healthy meal. And that was the grim reality. Vegetables were basically a luxury item they couldn't afford. So Sonam's family was living on the absolute bare minimum. It was this daily, grinding struggle that was leading to malnutrition and this feeling of complete hopelessness. I mean, how are you supposed to get ahead when just surviving is this hard? And right here, this is where the story takes a sharp turn. In both the village and the city, just when it seemed like all was lost, our heroes found inspiration in a place that literally no one else was even thinking to look. Just think about that for a second. For the farmers in Belapur, their entire identity was tied to their fields. For Sonam, her whole world was the city markets and streets. When both of those completely fail you, what's left? Where do you even begin to look? Well, the answer was surprisingly simple. Both Neha, who was a new bride in the village, and Sonam, who was struggling in the city, they both just looked up. And they saw these huge, empty, sun-soaked rooftops. And they both had the exact same thought. What if our new fields could be right here? Of course, having a great idea is one thing. Actually making it happen is a whole other story, especially when pretty much everyone around you thinks you're completely crazy. This next part of the story is all about pushing forward even when everyone doubts you. And what's amazing is how simple the plan actually was. This wasn't some high-tech, complicated solution. It was just good, old-fashioned hard work. Lugging soil up to the roof, planting some seeds, and then just taking care of them every single day. It was something anybody could do if they were just willing to try. And yeah, that was the kind of reaction Neha got in the village. Almost immediately, the village elders just shot her idea down. To them, she was this city girl with a silly little hobby, treating a massive crisis like it was some small balcony decorating project. The skepticism was just brutal. But here's the thing, and this is so important. Neither Neha nor Sonam got into big arguments. They didn't waste their breath trying to convince everybody with words. They just quietly put their heads down, did the work, and let their actions do all the talking. And boy, did those actions speak loudly. What started out as this quiet, lonely experiment on a couple of rooftops soon grew into something nobody could have seen coming. It turned into a full-blown revolution. And the idea just spread like wildfire. I mean, it started small, right? Just a few little green sprouts poking through the dirt. But within a month, the results were impossible to ignore. Neighbors started seeing these lush, healthy tomato and chili plants, and by the second month, the idea had basically gone viral. Rooftop after rooftop started turning into these little green gardens. The impact was huge, and it was fast. This wasn't just about having something to eat. For Sonam's family, it meant fresh, healthy meals every day. For Belapur, those city traders actually came back, creating a whole new economy based on these, sky farms. Both communities got back their food security, and they got back their financial independence, too. So this all leads us to the final, and really the most powerful outcome of this whole story. Because this wasn't just a harvest of vegetables. It was a harvest of hope, of respect, and of a totally new future. I mean, this quote right here, it just says everything. The same village elder who had made fun of Neha came back to her not just to say sorry,
but to thank her for saving the entire village. That is such a powerful moment of change when a whole community can admit they were wrong and embrace a completely new way of thinking.
So in the end, you have this incredible journey. Neha and Sonam started out as total outsiders with an idea that everyone laughed at. But through their quiet, hard work and real, tangible success, they became the architects of their community's survival. They went from outcasts to celebrated heroes.
And really, that's what we want to leave you with today. This story just goes to show that sometimes the most valuable resources we have, like rooftops or forgotten back alleys or unused plots of land, are hiding right there in plain sight. So the question is, what untapped potential is waiting right above your head, or maybe just around the corner from you?